Hey, everybody, welcome to this webinar today. We're excited to share this message with you. I'm going to go ahead and throw our slide up on screen. I should have done that to start with. What's working now? 5 ways to increase your organic growth. Matt and I are going to be talking a lot about organic growth and how you can work on that. But the first thing we want to do is introduce ourselves. I am Tony Parmenter. I am the Senior VP of Quality Control for the company. I kind of review everything that goes on. I work with our coaches and kind of make sure that we're doing a good job for our clients.
Yeah, and I'm Matt Hicken. I'm the Senior VP of Client Success. So my job is to make sure that, again, you as our client, every advisor that we work with is able to achieve all of their goals that they're trying to accomplish.
Great. And as we get going today, we want you guys to be able to ask questions because we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics that all kind of feed into that organic growth. So you do have the ability to ask questions in chat down below in the little buttons. So make sure you click those. We've got those pulled up on screen so we can see those. We'll try to answer them as we go. We usually finish a thought before we jump into them, but feel free to share your questions and thoughts. We do want to just, as a brief add to the Bill Good Marketing System, say the whole point to our system is to help you double your production or work half as much, or that's kind of like a spectrum somewhere in between. You can increase it and do both. So, but the Bill Good Marketing System is designed to help you create a customized strategy plan, really develop your team, train your team, and help your team manage your processes. One of the things we focus a lot on is processes. We focus on client marketing processes. We focus on referral marketing processes, on prospecting processes, and how using those and leveraging your team can help you achieve that goal of doubling your production or working half as much.
Honestly, what I'd say about that is too, is that, both Tony and I have been in this industry for a couple of decades, over a couple of decades each. And, having worked in the industry myself too, there's a lot of great ideas. There's a lot of wonderful thoughts and a lot of people are having success with other stuff. But what it really comes down to and boils down to is you need the steps, right? You need the actual steps to get it done. And that's really what we strive to provide with all of our best practices, is to give you the steps required to get all of these things that you see on the list.
And I think one of the best parts is, in addition to all the processes, we provide you the content. We have a letters library of nearly 3,000 letters written to dealing with market fluctuation situations, holidays, service messages, educational messages. So all those processes come with the content and the messaging that you need involved. So as we talk about this today, obviously we can't show you all the messaging, all the content we have with it, but we're going to kind of touch on these important points and know that we have materials specifically designed to go through all this. So do want to mention that we do have a goodie bag at the end of the seminar or at the end of the webinar. So when you get there, please fill out our survey. That helps us kind of assess what your needs are and how we could best help you. But if you're willing to do that, we've got 2 pieces that will tie into the things we talk about today. And we'll mention these again toward the end that you get for attending the webinar and giving us that information.
Yeah, and this is honestly one of the things that I see most requested, because again, like I said, there are a lot of great ideas out there, but sometimes it comes down when you're planning out things and you're trying to get down to brass tacks. It's hard to suddenly think of something to do, like what exactly we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and what are the ideas out there. So we've put together a list of all of the different successful ideas we've seen other advisors do, just a list of how to do them. Some of those are virtual. In fact, there's a decent number of them that can be done virtually. And then there are basic ideas and structure of how to engage and entertain clients at these events and prospects. So everything you're going to want to do, and we'll talk about events later in this broadcast, everything you need to do that successfully is in this goodie bag. So do wait till the end to catch that.
So we're going to go ahead and get started really talking about the meat here, which is what are the processes? Now, in our promo, we talked about 5 key ways to increase your organic growth. Now, before all these 5 ways, there's a really critical foundation you have to build and have in place in order for any of these to work. And that foundation starts with your team. You want to make sure, number one, you have the right people in the right seats. And one of the things that we focus in on is making sure that you have good people, people who understand your goal, your objective, who understand your clients' needs. You want your staff to have as much vested interest and compassion towards your clients' goals as you do. If you've got one of these shared assistants who shows up, punches the ticket, sends in orders, doesn't talk to you, if the clients call in, gives them really, really short, concise answers and doesn't really answer questions, your clients are going to feel that. They're going to feel that kind of engagement. So you want to have the kind of team who care about your clients. I've been to teams, and it's fantastic to walk into their offices and see them get up, get excited, come over and greet you and chat with you, know about your
Mhm.
hobbies, know about your personal interests, be able to share some of the things going on in their lives. Those are teams that make your clients and your potential clients, which is really important what we're talking about, feel welcome and feel like this is more than just another visit to the dentist's office. You don't want to feel like they're just coming in for a teeth cleaning. You want them to come in and feel like they're working with people that really care about them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've got a ton of stuff going over teams, like what to look for in hiring processes
Yeah.
and what to look for in monitoring over employees and helping them, encouraging them, helping them see what they can accomplish. So there's a lot of other stuff out there for that, but it is a fundamental thing you have to have in place. If the team is messed up or if there is no team, it becomes harder to do the rest of these things that we'll talk about.
And then that team's goal is to help you leverage the brand that you're building. Your brand should be, hey, I'm here to help people like you have success, help people like you move towards your retirement dreams, your retirement goals. And there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can use your own name as a brand. You can use retirement wealth or retirement success or wealth management. But then the brand overall has to be appealing. It has to be not stodgy and dry. It needs to be a brand. And this is portrayed when they come into your office. Is it a warm, inviting space? We have clients who have little ovens in the office and bake fresh cookies every day so that as you walk in, there's that warm aroma of fresh baked cookies in there. I don't think I'd ever leave my financial advisor's office. I'd have a problem.
It'll be an issue, yeah, weight wise. Yeah.
So that's part of the brand that you want to build, is this brand of a welcome home where people are excited to be there.
Yeah, well, and to me, the key to parts about branding is that you need to make sure that it's distinctive, right? I can't go out there and brand myself as the advisor that helps with retirement planning.
Right.
Everybody does. So what I need to do is go out there, and the brand is everything to do with the feeling and the emotion that is caused and the feeling that comes when they see or hear the name of your company. So that's what we're looking for. So a lot of people delve into this big stuff and spend a lot of time and money discussing names and titles and colors and all that stuff. Great. Yeah, there's a lot of research, there's a lot of stuff on that. Sure. But if there's nothing feeling wise backing that up, it was a waste of time and money. So you have to actually establish the feeling and the emotions that are going to come with that wonderful work you do on your logos and names and all that other stuff.
Yeah. And then once you have the team and you have the brand, it's the communication that you're doing. It's the way you're taking that message and you're putting that out there. Some of the key things that we look at are proactive calls. You want to make sure that you're having outward engaged calls. There should be just regular service check-ins, what we call your personal contact calls. You also need, anytime there's any sort of major market fluctuation, situations where you know people are going to be calling you with questions. You want to be the first person to pick up the phone and make calls out. I was in an office a couple of years ago during one of the big market meltdowns, and I was there with my clients that I was working with. And they said, we're really sorry. We want to definitely work with you on this stuff, but we need a couple of hours to make some phone calls. And so I worked on some stuff with the staff while the advisors jumped on phone calls and made lots of phone calls. During my breaks, I would walk around the office, just kind of around the complex and check out what's going on. And you'd be surprised how many advisors you'd see outside their office. The phone at the assistant's desk is ringing and ringing and ringing, and nobody's answering. And they're inside there in their office, staring at the market and what it's doing and not sure what to say. So those proactive calls to say, hey, we're watching it. We know what's going on. Here's what we think. Here's what we think we should do. That goes really, really far to develop, maintain that brand and develop a good relationship with them. The second thing is doing regular reviews. You want to make sure that you have a review cycle. Now, we talk at the Bill Good Marketing System about client segmentation, and you need to have your clients segmented based on those who have highest need and those who have lowest need in terms of engagement with you on that sort of thing. And so those reviews need to be scheduled based on that client segmentation. If it's a high value client that is likely to come into additional assets and be referring to you on a regular basis, you need to have a higher level of engagement with them and be doing those reviews more regularly and going over their portfolio and what's the next stage in their plan. And then the third thing is developing what we call the trusted advisor identity. And this is an identity that builds and it encompasses everything we've talked about. You're establishing yourself as an expert financial advisor. You're establishing yourself as a good citizen, and you're establishing yourself as a caring, well-mannered individual. And you're propelling that image through the communication you send, the letters you send, the calls you make, your staff's engagement with these clients and prospects. that makes people feel like you are more than just, again, like a dental check-in or a bank teller. You're actually a financial advisor who is vested in their future and in their best interest.
Yeah. Well, and again, to point out with these foundations that you're building here, that Tony's talking about, we've done broadcasts on these before. If you've
Yeah.
attended any of our webinars, you've heard us talk on these. But I can't stress enough the importance of each one of them.
Yeah.
And that's why you could probably find a webinar on just talking through your team, and several of them, in fact, and webinars just talking about those personal contact calls and those touch points and how to host review meetings and how to establish that trusted advisor identity. It's just that they're massively important, but we've discussed them before, so that's why we're just zipping through it.
Yeah.
But they're absolutely necessary before we move on to the next steps. And that next step, so the very first thing that I would take a look at, this comes down to the point of these are the 5 things to look at. So we're going to look at your clients first, right? Because they're the ones that know you. They've already decided to work with you. They like what you do. So we're going to start there. Now, some of your clients, in fact, I talked to an advisor earlier this morning that he swears up and down, no, his clients are, for the large part, older. They stay at home. They're not active with other people. They're just not available as COIs. But as we delved into it and looked at, okay, well, what is a client COI as a center of influence? And it's somebody who is well connected. Well, there's a few ladies in there that, get together and play the various games, bunco, bridge, all those different things.
Canasta.
It's a canasta.
It's a fun word to say.
It is a fun word, especially with an accent. But the idea is they do get together, and in those groups, they could potentially become an advocate for you. So the key, very first thing I tell advisors as we're working on this project is look, don't look at history. Don't make judgment calls on, whether or not they will give you a referral because, hey, they've never given you a referral. All we are looking at in client COIs, potential client COIs, is, are they well connected? Do they have a community where they would be considered an influencer or somebody that people would look to? And it doesn't matter. It could be on a board of a charity. It could be at the company they work at. It could be in the neighborhood because they're the head of the HOA, maybe whatever it might be. Right. But we're looking for people that have an influence. And what we do, and Tony talked about the segmentation, and there are 5 areas to segment clients in, and I'll zip through these because we've talked about it in other broadcasts. Number 1 is current revenue, revenue that we get from clients. Next is potential future revenue. So we increase to that. And these next 2 are the ones that I'm going to really identify. So that is, first off, the referrals that they have given. Now, this is where we're going to look at history. Have they given referrals in the past? And I'll score them on a scale of 1 to 5. And then the next one is COI potential. And that is, are they well connected? Everything we've talked about, and we'll score them there on a scale of 1 to 5. And then our 5th category is, do they follow all of your advice? And are they nice and fun to work with, right? So those are the categories that we use to score clients and then segment them based upon the higher scores and so on. But that being said, let's focus in on those 2, right? So COI potential and referrals. What I'm going to do is, if I go through all of my clients and I give them a score on a scale of 1 to 5 on those, and obviously with somebody that gave us a referral, for example, we had a client, super excited, awesome person, and we absolutely love him. And he got excited about our services as soon as he became a client. Within like 6-7 months, he'd given us like 7 or 8 referrals. And not a single one of them had more than $5,000 to their name. So super glad I give him a 2, right? Excited, not people that really, they need to be working with us. On the other hand, we had another client that also was very excited about us, sent us 1 referral in the first year that he became a client. That 1 referral had, I think, 1.2 or something like that $1 million. That's a better referral. So I would score him at like a 4, right? So you can kind of get an idea of the gauge here, but go and score through all of your clients, and now take every client that scored a 4 or 5 in both of those categories, or either or of those categories. This is my target list. These are the people that I'm going to go to first to go and run events, to create advocacy, everything else we're going to talk about for the rest of this broadcast. That's where I'm going to start.
That's your target group.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to create with these COIs. So go into your database and mark them, right? Mark them as a client COI, whether that's a tag, a category, or whatever else you want to use. Mark them in that way so that you can easily generate a list of these folks and then find some commonalities and then be able to plan everything else we'll be discussing about in this broadcast. but you have to start with that organization.
And Matt mentioned in the beginning of his statement there that you got to look at potential too. So the
Mhm.
example he gave were two people who had given referrals. That was from
Mhm.
history. You got to look at, like he said, the
Potential
potential
COI.
that exists there. So, and part of that is with the relationship mapping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here real quick. I'm going to show you guys our CRM. This is our CRM called Gorilla 5 or G5. And in G5, we track these sorts of things. So referral potential comes from where are they connected? Who are they connected to? What groups are they a part of? So one of the screens that we use is what we call the hierarchy. This is how we track interconnected relationships. So this is one of our silly fictitious households, Alice
Yeah.
Ape and Smitty
But
Ape.
she's very well connected.
So
You
yeah,
see.
she's, as you can see, we've got grandparents, we've got neighbors, people she's referred, people that referred her, brothers, sisters, etc., including her husband's connections. And so I haven't expanded these, but her grandparent is Mrs. Velda Oldbucks, the lady in town, the old blue hair with all the money. Um, we can see that she was referred by Elizabeth Beecher or Eliza Beecher, who's a good friend of hers. We can see that her sister is Eliza Beecher. We can see she's also neighbors with that guy we've always wanted to bring in, Teriyaki, who runs the A1 Szechuan restaurant chain in town. We can see accountants, lawyers. You could add to this additional relationships like, is she part of a charitable board? Is she part of the opera organization? What organizations is she a part of, and how is she connected to them? Using that hierarchy, you can see, hey, these are the people that are well connected, and these relationships should be searchable as well. Like, you need to be able to create lists of people who all fit a particular criteria. I want to find everybody who has referred. I want to find everybody who has a family member listed within the system. I want to find everybody who is part of a charitable board or an organization. So that's a first stage, is track those relationships and let's look for potential, because maybe Alice and Smitty have never referred to us before, though we can see that they have, but we can see that they're well connected. They have a lot of
Mhm.
people that we would be interested in meeting with that we want to know. The second thing that we have, and this is over here on the right side of the screen, this is kind of the general information screen about Alice and Smitty. We have custom fields, and in this custom fields, again, we can see their lawyer is Mr. Me Too, and their accountant is Ian Moore. We can see that they're interested in golf, that they are a former client that returned to us. So we can see some information here that might help us kind of narrow down the portfolio of, or the profile of who they might be connected to. And then the other thing we track is, what are their interests and their hobbies? This is important because we want to create low threat, low risk social engagements where we can be introduced to people they know. So we can see they're interested in, they like to play soccer. We can see they like soccer. A lot of these are financial interests, but we could see real estate concerns or questions. We could see if they're interested in golf, and if they're interested in gardening, if they're interested in emu breeding. But we want to be able to see all the different interests that they have. Now, as we collect this information and catalog this, whether you're using Redtail, Salesforce, whatever it is, you have to collect that information. What are those interests? What are those hobbies? How can we engage them in a very social manner? Using that information, now you're going to create a list. And this is one of the lists I've created in my system. This is you can see my green filter here is clients, my platinum and gold clients that are interested in gardening. And all that is that's clients that are active. There are tiers A, and B, which are our platinum and gold tiers, and they are interested in gardening. And I've got 13, it shows 13 clients that match this criteria. Now I have this list that I can send a mailing to invite them to a gardening event. I can just print this list out. As you can see, I've got phone numbers and information on the screen. So I could pull it up and I could have my sales assistant go make some calls and invite them to an upcoming gardening event. There's a lot of things I can do with this information. So this relationship mapping, as we call it, is the process that you use to catalog key information that's going to allow you to then go out and chase down these
Yeah,
folks.
let's leave it up for a second.
Okay, sure.
So, because here's the thing, like to Tony's point, like the key here, so just kind of steps, start by identifying your client COIs and referrers, right? The people that we're going to focus in on with your clients. And obviously, we're going to look in the top tiers of clients, the people we want to replicate. So that's our start. Now we need to delve deep and profile all of those clients. Make sure that we understand everything that there is to know about them, all of their hobbies and interests, alma maters, all these different, every information you can grab is something that we could potentially use to get us introductions, right?
Mm-hmm.
To first off have fun with them, and have fun yourself, but go out and get new business from this relationship. So on this screen, this list, so what we've pulled up, and the cool thing about G5 is you're able to save these, right? So you could do this list
Right.
and say, let's say that you personally as an advisor are super interested in gardening. It's what you do on the weekends. It's what you love going to. Like, maybe it's like my horrible spots that I can't go to are REI and Home Depot.
Oh man.
Those are my play stores that just cause problems for me financially. So I have to go in, and if I go in, I have to buy stuff. So I stay away as much as I can. But maybe that's you. Maybe when you go to a nursery, like that's like, oh boy, you come back with a few trees and plants galore. So if that's you, then great. I have an interest. I'm going to run a list of all my clients that are in my top tiers that score high in that COI potential and referral area, and that I've also said they're interested in gardening.
Mhm.
And I'll save that list. Now, I could run multiple small social events over a period of a year and invite various of these clients. Maybe I invite Teriyaki and Alice Ape, but unfortunately, Terry is out of town. Alice Ape comes and brings a friend. So I'll move down and say Harry Beecher or Henry Beecher is going to be next. And I'll invite him to bring a friend. And maybe since they were friends, because earlier, as Tony showed us, they're connected, maybe they'll invite a friend, a combined friend, a mutual friend, and we'll all go and do a demonstration on what to plant, what are our local plants, how to best water them and care for them in the spring and winter. Um, and that'll be a great small social event.
Mhm.
But you can kind of see how this works down through it. Now, as far as small social events, which is the best way that I've seen to get client introductions, that's how this process goes. You start off with a client, work your way into thoroughly profiling,
Mhm.
and then find mutual interest, something that you are going to be excited about.
Right.
I was talking to an advisor, and I was asking him, I'm like, so like as an example, we always use this example, and I'm not sure why, but in this industry, I said, well, like for golf, for example, you could take clients that are interested in golf. He's like, I hate golfing. And I'm like, well, that's going to be a very poor invitation.
Yeah.
If I call up and say, hey, Tony,
I hate
I don't
golf,
know,
but you want to go?
you want to go golf, I guess.
No, I don't.
Right? It's not going to be fun. But however, if golf is my thing, if that's my jam, then I'm going to call up Tony and say, hey, Tony, I've booked us some time on
Yeah.
the course. I've got 2 golf carts. I know you got some buddies you golf with. I want to go have a good time this Saturday. Let's, we'll get together beforehand and do breakfast, and then we'll do a great thing. Invite your buddies. Let's go. Does that sound good? Now he's excited. I'm excited. It's going to be a fun event. If golf is not your jam, let's pick something that is. There's all kinds of ideas out there. So one of the things that we used to do, there was a wine shop that was near our offices that every Friday had live music playing. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'd call up
awesome.
a client or two because music and good food and good friends were our big interests. So we'd sit there and we'd invite a few clients, have them invite some friends. We'd pull some tables together and listen to great music while having some wine and some good food. So that was fun,
Mhm.
and we could do it as often as we wanted because every Friday they had that
Yeah.
available.
And he's talking about one event that's maybe a little smaller. Something like that, you can do very impromptu. You can shoot out some text
Yeah,
messages or make some phone calls and be like on Monday and say, hey, on Thursday night, we got this thing set up. And so you might get 4 or 5 people and a few of their friends.
yeah,
You can go all the way up to the much bigger, more organized events. Hey, one of my clients is the local, radio expert on gardening. I've invited him to come and speak at the local garden center. I'm going to send out a formal invite a bunch of people. Like you can do anywhere from very large to very small,
yeah.
depending upon what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and with the small social events, the whole point to it is that we're trying to get a few people in the room. Now,
Yeah.
let me give you some parameters for these, some of the rules. With small social events, do not go over 12 people. It's
Mhm.
12 bodies. That includes you. And if you're inviting your spouse, that would include them. So
Yep.
now we're down to 10 other people.
You're bringing any staff, they're included in the
Yeah,
yeah.
if we have somebody that's maybe a wholesaler or a strategic partner, which we'll talk about in a minute, that's there, that also counts as one of those
Yes.
12. So it narrows down pretty fast. But the key thing, and this is the second piece to these small social events that's important, is there has to be the ability to have discussion. And there
Mhm.
has to have the lack of ability. Holy crap, English left me. So the you everybody needs to be involved in the discussion. Nobody should be able to hide. I guess that's what I was trying to say.
Nobody
Nobody
can
should
hide.
be able to hide in the corner and not have to participate in any of the discussions because there's so many people, right? So the key is we found 12 or fewer allows
Mhm.
for that. Once you start getting over that number, and 12 is the max. Like Ideally 6 to 8 would be good, but
Yeah.
12 is absolute max. Once you go above that, it's really hard to make sure everybody's included in the discussion. The other key to those discussions is that you have to make sure your event fits that. So, for example, we had seats at the local symphony. You can't sit there chatting.
No.
It's frowned on. Yeah. So you can't sit there chatting while they're playing.
Yeah.
So during intermission, we made sure that we had a place to go for refreshments, and that's where we could have discussion. Same thing with golf. If I invite 12 people for golf, right? That's 6 carts. Is everybody involved in the discussion? No, that would be really fun, actually, to try to drive 6 carts all together down the fairway. You might get in trouble though. But if you can't have discussion during your event, set up a time either before or after or somehow during that allows for that discussion. So for golf, do a breakfast before or a late lunch after.
Yep.
Right. So just somewhere where you can have a discussion. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3.
Cocktails on the night.
That is rule number 3. Cocktails on the night, no matter what the event is. Rule number 3 is that, I guess we already talked about it. You have to be excited about it. Your clients have to be excited about it. It has to match in with interests. If there's not that excitement, then the invitations suffer, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, of course, you have to have the foundations in place. I've had clients that have tried to start this up and they haven't been communicating with their clients. And, just like you would, if you had a friend out of the blue that called you up off of, Facebook friend that called you up out of the blue, they're going to try to just sell you something because, hey, they're now some part of some pyramid scheme. So that's not what we're trying to do. We are trying to just build relationships, then get into this. So 4th rule, don't talk business, right? Nope. This is not your opportunity to stand up in front of them and discuss the merits of annuities or anything else. If they bring it up, and they will, right? Mm-hmm. Inevitably it comes up. Every single one of these we ran, the friend or the introduction that was there at the event would say, well, tell me, so what exactly do you do? Because they feel obligated.
How do you guys know each other? Why are you here? I mean, you want them, hopefully, as they invite people to say, yeah, my financial advisor's inviting me to this, or the person. Totally. But yeah, a lot of times they won't. They'll just be like, oh yeah, a group of us are getting together and then the question comes up, what is the relationship?
Yeah. And if they ask that, or if they ask, hey, so, because they feel obligated, you're paying for all this. They say, well, tell me about your business. And they expect a little commercial. Well, I mean, that's not really why we're together today. I am a financial advisor, and if you're interested, we can always talk later. Done. Right? You notice in there, no words that I pitch anything. Yeah. And that's the cool thing, is if you do leave them wanting more, if you do pull back from that and just have a fun event, they become more interested. They want to talk more. And we'll talk. And at the end of these events, this is the final piece to these small social events. The end of the event, your key, your mantra, your assignment is to make sure that they become part of your private mailing list. And we have scripting for that for those of your clients. But the basic idea is you say, hey, I keep a private mailing list of clients and friends that, I just see with all the negative news out there or, misinformation. I like to send them what's going on in the world or just nice stories of what's happening. Never solicit a friend. Would you like to be included in this private mailing list? Right? Yeah. Now I'm going to stay in touch with them. It's not just this one-time thing. So we have the question of how often do we schedule these small events? As often as you can consistently do them. I hope that answers your question nicely. Yeah. Because the key is, if I do a small social event today and then, oh man, things get busy. So come June, I realize, hey, that was a fun thing. I'm going to do it again. And then, I get busy again. And so then, maybe in September, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I should do that again. Yeah, you're never going to get momentum. It's not going to work. Clients aren't going to be excited about being friends, because the key to this too is when you first start doing these small social events, if you've done a great job on building that foundation, then you will have clients that'll bring friends.
Right.
If you've done a so-so job or have just been getting going on it, then you may find those first few events, clients don't bring anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, we entertained them. That's fine. Keep doing it, because once they realize they come to this event, it's a lot of fun. There's no business discussed. You're not standing up and giving a presentation. It's just fun. Yeah. They will invite friends for the next one. So do keep it up. So coming back to that, how often, we try to hold them every week. For some, that's a lot, right? And so maybe once a month would be better. At the very least, furthest
minimum,
once every quarter.
Yeah.
Right.
And Matt hit on the key thing, and it's momentum. And it's like people, you want people to remember it well enough that they talk about it.
Yes.
Okay. Because right after you hold a golfing event and everybody's having fun out there on the course, they're going to talk to their other golf buddies about how much fun they had. Then if just a couple of weeks down the road you do the next one, they go back to those golf buddies and say, hey, remember that fun event I told you about? They're doing another one. Do you want to come? If it's a year away, it's been forgotten. They've moved on to other things, and maybe went to 3 other golf events through other organizations. So that momentum is really, really critical.
No, 100%. So the key to this is set out your plan, right?
Mhm.
So I was actually just with the team in Toronto last week, and we set out the plan. And part of what I did on the consulting, and actually, if Paige, if you could put into the chat, if you were ever interested in having somebody to come into your office and walk you through all of this, and not
Mhm.
just tell you all of this, but actually help you set it up and coordinate and work it through, then that's what our consulting does. And that's what I did with this team. I not only said, hey, this might be a good day to host a small social event, I went out and looked, and there was a local restaurant that actually held cooking classes, and that's
Oh,
food
that's
was
cool.
something the advisor was interested in. So I set up a date, I gave them the website, I gave them the information of who to contact, and we set it up so that they can hold cooking classes. And then we
That's
also
awesome.
looked at other various events that were going on or things that were going on. There was a nursery that taught kids classes on how to care for plants. And so
Huh.
I figure I'm sure they would include adults. We're all kids at heart anyway, right?
Well, I should probably go to that because I've killed every plant I've tried to grow.
You
So
should. So, but that's a great place. So I put that event and gave them all the contact information. So if you're interested in having somebody help you do that, obviously there's a link in the chat. You can click on that and find more information about our consulting services. But that being said, do plan out. Look at your entire 2024, because I know how it gets. Right. You
Mhm.
start getting to work and you're like, hey, yeah, Tony and Matt talked about a great idea, but yeah, we just get too much going on. And then come
Yeah, push
June,
it
you're like,
out. We'll
oh,
do it in March, and then
let's
March
do
rolls
that.
around, and May and June, and yeah.
So plan them now, set out those dates, get those scheduled.
Mhm.
You've got your hit list, you've got the people you're going to go for and who you're going to invite, and just start doing them. And if they're fun for you, it's much more likely to happen. So
Yeah.
so that's how we're going to do events, but we do need to take more steps in order to get this organic growth really moving.
Yeah, and to Matt's point, one thing I'll reiterate or echo is as far as the planning goes, like he said, plan at least once a quarter. Start with a plan that says at least once a quarter, I'm going to do an event. I'm going to pick some date once a quarter and I'm going to do something. Get the first one out of the way and go, that went pretty well. I can manage this, and start adding others as time goes on. So you want to really just kind of get that ball rolling. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen because I'm going to talk about, let's go here. There we go. We're going to talk about building advocacy within your clients. It's really, really important that your clients know and understand, because in order for them to start inviting their friends, in order for them to start looking for reasons to bring people to your door, they need to understand that that's what you're going for. But one thing, and Matt and I have talked about this many times in many of our referral broadcasts and stuff, is that the trick to effective referral promotion is it's never about you. Or as little as possible is about you. You want
Yeah.
it as much as possible to be about them, the client. So I've got a few referral promotion scripts up on screen that we've used before. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
pretty sure Bill Good would probably come from Florida and slap us if we didn't say this. Never ask for referrals.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. He tells a whole story. If you've never seen it, I'm sure we've got it up on the website. He tells a whole story of how he took his sales team and had them asking adamantly on a regular basis for referrals. And after about a month or 2 months of doing that and their sales crashing, he tore all the charts down and went back and said, stop asking for referrals. You're killing us. Great story and a great experience. You want to be promoting the idea
Yes.
that you accept referrals, and you're promoting it as a service to the client. So here's a couple of the scripts. This first one says, I've been meeting with a lot of people lately who are frustrated with the markets and the economy. Honestly, we've noticed that once we clarify what's happening and thoroughly review their financial plan, the frustration tends to vanish. That's where I think I can help you. So in this one, you're talking about a common frustration. I was just at a family reunion over this weekend with my siblings, and I remember hearing a couple of my brothers talking about some of the frustrations they're dealing with. Dude, with that last market fluctuation, and my advisor didn't say anything, and I don't know what's going on. And there are lots and lots of people who are not getting talked to or not getting communicated to about what's going on. And that conversation comes up in family gatherings and social gatherings. And so you're using that to say, when this situation presents itself, hey, if your friends, if your family are suffering, I would love to help them. I'm more than happy to do the good job for them that I do for you. Now, this goes all the way back to where we started with that foundation. If you don't have that foundation in place, that foundation of, I'm communicating what I'm doing. I'm talking to you about the fluctuations in the market. I'm informing you about decisions or changes we're making. I'm reviewing things with you on a regular basis. That whole foundation sets the stage for you to be able to say, I'm doing a good job. I'm taking care of you. And if your friends and family aren't getting that, I can help them. I'd love to help them.
Which is the first rule of creating advocacy in these scripts, is tell them what to look for, right? And
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of advisors that say, well, you may not be able to think of anybody right now who could use some help with retirement planning, but if anyone comes to mind, please let me know. That's okay,
Mhm.
right? But how often have you, well, maybe not you as an advisor, but how often, like ask some friends, how often are they at a party where somebody says, man, I could use some help with my retirement planning? Right. In fact, according to surveys, most people don't even understand what retirement planning is, that term, right? They know they want help with income in the
Right.
retirement, but they don't know what that term means. So they're not saying that. However, how often, I mean, again, you could again see this, but as an advisor, how often have you been a party where somebody mentions the fact that of what's going on in the economy and their frustrations with it? Or maybe they're just the fluctuations of the market, right? And then ask friends, how often are they at parties where they hear that? Now, if you ask your friends and nobody says anything about that, then let's find out what they do talk about,
Mhm.
right? And use terminology they're going to use. So that's why it is like if you know of anyone that's frustrated or expresses frustration with the markets and the economy, we can help,
Yeah.
right? And that comes into this second rule.
So the second script says, I found that many families make some of the biggest estate planning mistakes right before retirement. When you come across somebody nearing retirement, could you introduce us again to the first rule? Because it's talking about here's a situation that they might come into or you might find, and when you should be promoting us.
Yeah. Which is the second rule. There's a problem, right? We're pointing out this is a problem. Like, yeah, this is what you look for, and it's a problem. Like this one, people are making the biggest estate planning mistakes right before retirement. That insane. There's a problem,
Yeah.
right? And I know what to look for. People that are getting ready to retire. So I've already hit two things.
And the third thing is tell them what you want them to tell them what you expect them to do at that point in time. So in this one, I'd love to help them put together a mistake-free plan. I can help them overcome that pain, overcome that problem. Here's what I want you to do. And sometimes that's invite them to this upcoming event. Sometimes that's can you make an introduction? Sometimes that's hey, give me their information. I'll reach out to them.
Mhm. Yeah. And so just so you know, two parts to this.
Mm.
Tony and I talk fast. I understand. I apologize to a degree. There's a lot of information we got to share with you. So that's why we talk fast. But the beautiful thing is this is recorded. You will be able to go back and watch
Yes.
it. I would suggest taking these scripts and using them. I know they're
Yeah.
longer, but they do work, right? And in the right situation, when you go through this big thing, you're telling the client what to look for, why it's important, and what to do about it, how to have them help you and you to help them. So you got to get those in. And these are two great scripts that do work.
And the biggest rule for you is kind of reword these so they fit your language, but
Yes.
don't forget those three rules. Make sure they're in there. And then once you've reworded it so that it fits you, have two or three options based on different circumstances, different needs they might run into or questions they might run into, and then rehearse them. I actually had a client one time who was terrible at referral promotion. He said, I can't remember to do it. And every time I start doing it, I sound mechanical and I stumble over my words. And so what we did is we set a rule and he had this sheet and it was bright orange in color. So he could never forget it. And he had his two or three scripts on there. And between every set of phone calls, between every appointment, he just sat there and read it quietly to himself out loud. And as he read it and read it and read it and read it, this became a natural part of his language because it really is. It's part of what you guys talk about already. Here's your problems. Here's your pain. Here's why it's a problem. Here's how I help you solve it. That's what you're saying to the client. Now you just need to have that reframed in how you can help their family, their friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, again, if you have a meeting with a client and you're discussing their estate plan, there's a perfect script for that. Right.
Mhm.
So go ahead and use it. I forgot to mention stay to the end. We've got that goodie bag that has those
Oh yeah.
event ideas. So back to the previous thing, I spit off a bunch of ideas, but that list has a couple of pages worth
Oh
or a
yeah.
few
Yeah.
pages worth of ideas. So do stay for the end so you can get a hold of that and just answer a few questions and you can get that. Also, if you do have any questions, please use the chat. We'd be happy to answer any questions and help you out with any aspects of this. So again, as we're talking through all these ways to achieve organic growth, it's everything to do with relationship marketing. And of course, we can't forget strategic partnerships. Now, these are professional COIs, people that are out there that are working in a professional manner with your ideal client. And at some point in their discussions and in their work, they will be delving into their financial lives. So,
So the
and
trick
I,
to those is you just go to the meetings, you take the names of some clients, and then you give those to other people and they give you names back, right? That's the way that works.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you wear a ski mask, that's the best way to do it.
If you've ever been to those meetings, you know why I'm being facetious about that. They don't work.
No.
But there is a way to make them work.
Yes, exactly. And that's the key to, so I think that's a good point that Tony brings up, is that, I've talked to so many different advisors all over the country and helping them try to develop strategic partnerships. Honestly, in the business that we are in North Carolina, it was one of our primary methods of growth. So I do know it works. I do know how they're done best. And when I am able to get teams to follow every step and every rule here, they see success every time. So, and I guess the key here is it is work. Like, understand that at the beginning. Like, this is not something where you're gonna, because this is honestly what most advisors do, is they show up to the CPA's office, they slap down their nice brochure, and then they say, yeah, this is who I am. This is why it's great to work with me. So
your client should come to me tomorrow.
Yeah, how about I send you referrals? You send me referrals. This is going to be awesome. Good deal. We'll see you.
Everybody likes that in theory.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. If you could just do that and toss your brochure at people and then they send you referrals, that'd be interesting. But not how it works. So we have to actually develop these into relationships. So again, back to fundamental stuff, very basics. First off, your strategic partners, we need to screen through them. Statistically, strategic partners, CPAs and attorneys are rough, right? They don't refer. I would say probably the top two reasons for it is number one, they feel like there's some kind of conflict of interest or problem, because if they refer, they'll stop getting referrals.
Right.
And then number two is that they've been burned in the past. They referred to an advisor, and that advisor had the audacity to put that money in the market, and the market goes up and down. And when the market goes down, the client gets upset. So they get burned. So then they decide, nope, never referring ever again. And that happens. So our job in working with CPAs and attorneys is to screen out all of those people that aren't going to refer. They're not, right? Just period. Like, there's this whole thing out there that, about dating, right? You don't find the first person that you go on a date with and say, well, they have all these problems. I'll fix every one of them, and then they will be an excellent spouse. No. Don't, me too. So don't do that, right? Don't do that with your partners. If you find somebody where there's problems and there's issues, or they tell you outright, well, I don't really refer to advisors. Don't think, I'll be the one. I'll be the first.
I'll be the one that fixes it. Yeah.
No, move on. No, great, that's fine, right? Then move on. And so that's the very first step, is screen through all the potentials out there. And this also leads to part of that. Don't just look at CPAs and attorneys. Like I said back in the definition, any other professional that's going to be talking to your ideal client, right, in somewhat touch on a financial capacity, could be somebody that could be a referral source and a strategic partner. So you got to think commercial bankers,
real estate
mortgage
agents,
lenders, real estate agents, luxury car dealers.
I would start with the ones focused in the financial universe, but then once you've nailed those down, I mean, you can be looking at like expand out. Life coaches and people who do nutritional training and physical trainers. I mean,
I have clients that work with retirement communities, so 55 plus communities, and are able to use them as a referral source. So there's all kinds of options. Get creative, go out there and put in the work. And otherwise, the steps are the same. So it all starts with the very first meeting, and we've gone over this in other broadcasts, so I'm going to go quick. Starts off with the first meeting where you're just trying to fill it out. Are we going to get together, right? First off, will they meet with you? If they don't, boom, gone, off my list.
Yep.
Awesome. So if they meet with you, do you like them? Do you get along? Could it be a fit, right? 75% of the talking in that meeting should be them, 25% you. That means you're asking a lot of questions to understand them, their business, what they're trying to accomplish, and whether or not you could potentially help them in that process. The second step, if they pass, right? Everything looks good, everything sounds good, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, don't forget the third question there. Do you refer? Have you ever given a referral to a financial advisor?
Referrals? Yeah.
No, I don't give referrals. I don't do that.
Great. Awesome. We're done. Right. Moving on. So then if that first meeting, if everything goes well, then we move on to the second meeting. And that second meeting needs to be able to understand in detail. If I send a client to them as a referral, what happens? Right. I don't want to just send them referrals willy-nilly and hope that it works out. I've actually had, CPAs where I've talked to them over the phone. Everything looked good. They don't have the website, but, I kind of brushed that off because most CPAs can't figure that out. So I just figured it was fine. But then going to their place, they were in a strip mall right next to a restaurant that was pretty smelly. It was not in a nice area. It's not an experience I want my high-end clients to feel. So I'm not going to refer him. Right. But that's the thing. I need to see every process, every step. Like if they're going to walk into the office, who do they first greet when they walk in the office? Is there a greeter? Or do they just walk in and awkwardly stand in a room until somebody realizes they're there? So I want to see the whole process and then go through, okay, how can we work together to better serve the community that we work with? Right. So I host events, I run marketing campaigns, I try to
Mhm.
push my brand out there. I have an expertise in that. I could help you potentially do that because a lot of these
Mhm.
partners are notoriously not good at marketing. So you could potentially help there. But then how could you help me in my business? You have expertise, you have knowledge and things in financial planning. I could lean on you, or you have excellent, you're the best Mercedes Benz dealer in town. So you could help my clients get hooked up with that. How could we work together to serve the community? That's what we're trying to discuss. And then the very first thing you're going to set up as far as working together to serve the community is an event, right? And this would be probably a bigger event where they can invite clients, you can invite clients. It's a great introductory start, and we'll work together to come up with a topic, right? But the key to that great event and to make sure that it comes off successful or they invite people is to do a lot of the inviting yourself, right? I've talked to advisors where they said, yeah, I talked to this CPA and I told them, they said, yeah, this event sounds great. And then not a single one of their clients showed up. Yeah, because they're not used to inviting clients to events. Like they don't know what to do. So help them along. So do that.
Give them
Um,
the invite. Yeah.
yeah, print the invites for them. Or I used to tell our partners, look, like I'm not going to do anything with these names other than do the invite, but I'll print the invite for you, hand address them on an envelope, say it's put the return address as you, and I'll send them out. That way you don't have to do a single thing, and then I'll throw away or delete that Excel spreadsheet. And some did, most wouldn't. But then I'd say, okay, well, how many are you going to invite? And I'll send you the invites, or I'll bring them to your office and drop them off. And you can hand address them and send them out. But do as much as you can to help them. Now, in this process, if they're not willing to set up that meeting or set up the event or anything like that with you, or they hem and haw around it, or, oh, hey, that sounds like a great idea, and then it's hard to get a hold of them, great, they're off my list. I move on, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Move to the next person. So you got to keep screening these people out. Once they've invited people to an event and there's some mutual introductions, now I label them as a strategic partner and treat them the same as I would a client. So they are invited to client events. They get client mail. In fact, often when I sent out letters to clients, I would just send the same letters to strategic partners and just do a little post-it note. Hey, clients got this. I figured you'd want to see it, right? And I'd send it to them. So they get everything.
They get
And
regular proactive calls, checking in on how things are going
every
and
month,
verifying the relationship. They get regular reviews of the relationship and where things are
at least
going on with
quarterly
them.
or
Mhm.
semi-annual. So all of this stuff needs to happen. Same stuff that you do with clients, all of that needs to happen with your strategic partners. And as long as you keep up that communication, keep that trusted advisor identity brand in front of them, and then even use some of those referral scripts that we discussed with them, then you will continue to maintain those referrals. From every
Yep.
strategic partner, we expect 1 to 2 good referrals per year. Now, some give a lot more, some give just that one, but I need them to be actively giving referrals, right? In order to stay as a strategic partner. And it's that ongoing communication and regular communication that gets you there. And so that's it. I mean, I know I went through that fast. There's a lot of stuff. We've done other broadcasts on strategic partnerships, so you can always
And
find that out there.
like we said at the outset, the strategic partner process that we have is really, really a well documented part of our system. It's got letters, it's got scripts, it's got outlines of what the process is, and so it's something that we're telling you how to do it here and giving you the overview. If you need a whole process, that's what we do. So let us know and we can help you out.
Yeah, and we can even have like I've done it on consults. I've gone out and
Hmm.
searched, done web searches, try to narrow down the CPA field and the attorney field, and look to see who else was out there, and then even set times and lunches so that we could get those started off. So again, it's something that we can help you get it step by step every step of the way, right?
Yep. And the last piece of maintenance of this that we're talking about, and the last of the 5 ways to increase your organic growth, is at the end of every year, and it doesn't necessarily have to be at the end of every year, but at least once a year, you need to be doing some center of influence events. You need to be doing these COI events that brings these centers of influence together to kind of brain share, to share with you how you're doing. One of our clients does every year, and sometimes twice a year, an event where he brings all of the strategic partners to a restaurant. They all sit down, they have lunch together, together. They share some ideas. A couple of them get up and give presentations on things that they're doing. He likes to get up and give out some awards on like people who are like the most influential of their centers of influence, somebody who's done something really remarkable in the community to receive recognition within that sphere and that group of people. The beautiful thing is now he's got these different strategic partners, CPAs, estate planning attorneys, PNC agents, mortgage agents, and they're all talking to each other as well and finding places that they can cross over and help one another. And it kind of becomes this community of financial professionals and other professionals that are working congruently to support that base of clients. And because they're doing that, they trust that sphere, that group of people, and they start giving out more referrals. Hey, you should go talk to Matt about this thing. Oh, you should go talk to Tony about that thing. And so those events give you an opportunity to celebrate those successes with those centers of influence, bring the conversation together, and allow more conversations to occur. Likewise, with your client centers of influence, you need to do similar, bring them together for a dinner and get together and say, we wanted to say thank you for all that you've done for us this year and all the wonderful people you've introduced us to. We love meeting these people and getting to know these good people. And as a big part of that, how can we do more to help these people that what do you want to see from us, or how can we
Here's
help
our plan for 2024? Yeah. What do you like?
Here's the plan of events that we're planning for 2024. What do you think is going to be great and work, and what do you think we could add to it or change in it?
So, or hey, there's this new restaurant in town with a good chef. What do you guys think? Do you think this would be a good idea? Or hey, what about this? There's Top Golf does it, but there's other places too that do it where it's this virtual, where you rent a room and there's two virtual golf courses, and you can have food and catered in and just play golf there rather than being outside and on golf carts. This would be a great opportunity for conversation to occur. So there's all kinds of things you can discuss with them, but get their feedback, right? Because if you talk to them and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing some of these, and you see some people in the room of COIs, people that have given you referrals and are excited about it and are influencers, and they're excited about that idea, guess who I'm inviting, right?
Or if you get in there and you're like, oh, I was thinking about doing a paint night, and all your centers of influence go, oh,
paint night.
Yeah, paint. I don't paint. Then you're going to know that's going to be a dud. You're not going to get,
well, it would be fun.
If your centers of influence aren't willing to come to an event like that, they're not going to bring a friend to an event like that.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So that feedback, that engagement is of huge importance. And in those engagements, as you're talking about what we can do to bring more people together, they're going to instantly think of people that they've been talking to and go, oh, you know what, Matt, I actually been meaning to talk to you about Ben, my friend. He really needs to come talk to you anyway. So
the key to those end of year COI events, or even just whatever, once a year COI events, is that you come with a marketing plan, right? So you have to have that already in place, and then come with a list of questions to help spur on discussion. And the final piece is that discussion does need to happen, much like we discussed with small social events. You can't have this room full of like 50 people because, hey, these are all the people that you ranked 4 or 5 on COI, and then expect everybody to be involved. Because as you know, like the bigger the room gets, the larger the audience, the easier it is to disappear and hide and not say anything. And the easier it is for the entire group to say, I don't really want to talk, so I'll just let him say something. And everybody says that, so everybody just sits there. So keep them smaller.
And at the end of the day, the number of COIs that you have, centers of influence that you have, are probably going to end up being kind of a smaller list anyway. You're really only going to find a certain number of people that are willing to engage in this kind of relationship with you and share referrals with you. And that's all you want in the room. You're not trying to impress a bunch of people who are on the fringes or don't want to participate. You want the people who really get it, who understand what you're trying to accomplish, who are invested in this idea of helping the community at large and want to be a part of that. That's who you want in there. Definitely. And you want that engagement with them.
100%. So we've talked very fast and a whole lot of stuff, and there's a whole lot of things to look at. Like I said, this recording will be made available on our website, but you've done a good job. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. You deserve to get the goodie bag. So thank you for sticking around to the end. Now, obviously, we've got a few minutes. If you have any questions, please drop them into the chat. We'd be happy to answer any of them. If that's anything to do with, developing strategic partners, to COIs, to any of the processes we've discussed today, you can either but while we're doing it, you can get the QR code or just type in that link, or the link is also in the chat. You can just click on it from there, whatever's easiest for you, but answer the few quick questions, and then you can get that huge list of events of how to, the ideas of doing it, and then 5 secrets to make sure that it's a great event document. So Well, looks like there's no questions, or maybe I'm talking so fast you didn't have the chance to type it.
And the last thing I'll say is Matt and I, like he said at the outset, he and I have been doing this for over 20 years each. Like
Mhm.
he's done it in the field as an advisor. I've been doing it from a coaching and consulting standpoint. We know this works. We've seen it time and time and time again. He saw it in the practice he was in North Carolina. And the important thing to know here is we know you can do this. You can certainly take the information we gave you today or fill out that survey and let us know if you need more help to actually get this off the ground. We do this all the time. We love doing it. It's a lot of fun. It's very exciting. And we'd love to see you guys have the kind of success that we've seen others have. So,
Yeah, most definitely. So again, thank you for attending. Thank you for being a part of this. Go get your goodie bag.
all right. Thank you guys.